If you want to try making something different and unusual, but uses up your spare apples and soft fruit at the end of the growing season, then try making one of these. This is a fruit leather, called that because it's got the consistency and texture of leather, but this is entirely edible. And in this video we're going to show you just how to make one of these. Now these are the very basic ingredients for making a fruit leather. First of all, apples. Now as you can see, these are not our best apples. They're basically the ones that won't survive storage over the winter, and some of them are already on their way out. So we're using these up now, and making fruit leathers is a good way to use them. There's about 1 kilo of apples there. Juice of 2 small lemons, and then some runny honey, 300 grams of it for the weights that we're using, and then next to it baking parchment. We'll explain later why you need that. Now over here we have the fruit that we're going to add in. Now we are in November now, towards the end of November. The growing season has now finished. All the soft fruit has basically been used up, and what we have here are haulberries. It's about all that's left on the hedgerows at the moment, and it's about 700 grams worth. So I've used haulberries before to make jelly. It's got a bit of a caramel taste to it, so we're going to have a go at using these in the fruit leather. So chop the apple up, add that to the pan, chop it as finely as you can. No need to core it or peel it, just chop the whole lot up, stick it in, add in the fruit that you're using. You see our haulberries here, try to hit the pan, and add in the lemon and apply a bit of heat. What we're trying to do here is to get this to become a pulp. This all has to be pressed through a sieve, so the apple in particular needs to be broken down. And what you may find is that if you're using something like blackberries or elderberries or other soft fruit, you won't need to add any water to it. If you're using a dry fruit such as berries, and we're using haulberries here, then you may need to add in just a little splash of water, and I mean really keep it to an absolute minimum. About a cupful at most should do it. It's just to stop it from catching on, but also to give something to the apples to be able to simmer in. And as you can see, it's becoming quite a pulp now. It's got a few minutes to go yet, but gradually we are getting there, and once all this apple has finally broken up and become a pulp, we'll be able to press it through a sieve. Well, once the pulp is fully cooked, turn off the heat and let it cool for a few minutes, and whilst that's happening you then need to set up your trays, your baking trays, with the baking parchment. So fully line 2 or 3 baking trays, and then set the oven to about 60 degrees centigrade so that it's preheated, ready to take these. This is where we have to press it through the sieve to make a fruit puree. Years ago I used to go swimming 4 times a week, and I don't know what takes up more effort, making a fruit puree or swimming 4 kilometres. Well, this is what we were after. This is the fruit puree. This is what it came from. Now that doesn't look particularly appetising, but don't throw it away. What we're going to do is we're going to put this back into the pan. We're going to add a reasonable amount of water, probably at least a litre of water to that. We're going to reboil it, and we're going to use that. We'll strain that and make a jelly with it. Now, back to the fruit leathers. We have the puree there, and we need to add this to it, which is the honey. The next job is simply to spread this out thinly on the baking tray. A nice thin layer. Well, we've managed to create 3 trays, and these are ready now to go into the oven. 60 degrees centigrade for about 12 to 14 hours. Yes, I did say hours. These have to be baked at a very low temperature for quite a long time. So we're going to return this evening to see how they're getting on. Well, it's just turned midnight, so the leathers have been in the oven now for about 10 hours. We're going to give them a check to see whether they've worked. This is the moment of truth. This is one of them here. And as you can see, I'm just looking at my monitor there. You see if they peel away, this one looks like it is already starting to peel, then we know that it's worked. Yep, here it goes. Yes, it's coming away. Well, it's now the morning after the night we made the fruit leathers, and here's one of them. And as you can see my hands right the way through it. Nicely translucent. Gorgeous taste, nice and sweet, perfect substitute for sweets that you can get in the shops, and no sugar in these either, so better for you than all that rubbish that the sweet shops sell. Now, to store them, you can wrap them in greaseproof paper and put them in a cardboard box and put them in the cupboard. But it is very much of a dying skill making these, and give them a go because they're actually very easy to make.